welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
So today we have Sydney, our guest today, and we're going to be talking about
fiance.
bling bling ding ding.
But there's a reason she's here.
So we are actually going to talk about the value of romance and why men and women feel neglected or unappreciated when you do a lot of small things, the kind of cute little tidbits to help show love and affection to your partner. And when you do grand gestures, go way out of your way, and then it's received wrong, or they're so nonchalant about it, how it just can kind of kill that relationship over time.
Yeah, and I think the grand gestures kill relationships because then the normal thing is it normalizes the behavior, and if all we do is grand gestures, then the grand gestures are normal.
Yeah, and
they're
a lot of times
anymore.
People become numb to it, and so we're going to break down in a couple segments. We kind of got, you and I are, all three of us are going to kind of talk about examples of how we gave love and did things for our others, and vice versa, where if they did stuff for us and how our responses were, and maybe the lack of response and appreciation killed that relationships that we had in the past, and then segment 2 is going to be what I like to call the opt-out phenomenon. It's basically where, as you are,
that's the stage I'm in.
well, I mean, you're like the opt-out dating phase. I'm talking about in an actual relationship when you do gestures and it's not, you don't get thank yous, you don't get appreciation, you start to opt out to doing those things. And then a lot of times women particularly will be like, he never does anything special for me. And they were disconnected, and then the relationship starts to fall apart. And then segment 2 is we're going to go over the love languages. We briefly touched about that in our what we learned after the divorce episode.
A little bit deeper dive this time though.
Yeah, and you'll go more psychological part of that side, and then we'll get the female perspective on part 3.
Sydney on the spot.
Oh, great!
Like the frustrations that women have, and then why men stop courting, after they got the woman kind of thing, and they just kind of go into provide mode sometimes and kind of go from there, and or the unrealistic expectations that people have, treat me like a king and treat me like a princess, I don't have to do anything, I can lay around kind of stuff. So
I see that so much on social media.
Oh my gosh,
so annoying.
So let's start off with our opening segment. We appreciate you guys coming here. Hit that like and subscribe button for us. Hit that little bell so you can get notifications every Tuesday at 4:00 when episodes come out.
Absolutely.
So, James
Dawson,
divorced twice, 5 kids, 4 grandkids.
Yep.
Why, from your perspective, do you think the romance died in your relationships?
So, interesting thing about the romance dying in relationships, it typically dies from one side.
Yeah.
So and we were talking about this last night before doing the episode today, where I've read the books and the Cosmo surveys and all that stuff of what women want in relationships, and how romance starts in the kitchen, where you're doing dishes for her, you're taking up the trash, or you're watching the kid, all that stuff. I did all that stuff, and continue to do all that stuff,
but it never worked.
It did initially. There was appreciation in the beginning, but then it became, like I mentioned in the beginning, where it's it becomes the normal, and because that becomes normal, it's no longer appreciated, it's now expected.
Yeah.
And so I found myself constantly trying to improve, do more, do better, and it just then became the next norm. And what I did not, from my perspective, was it was not reciprocated. It wasn't appreciated, and so eventually it was what am I even doing here? Why am I even trying? I remember having a conversation with my first wife where it's I've been doing this, and I've been doing this, and I've been doing this, all the stuff that you're asking for. Don't you see me changing and improving? And she's like, yeah, I see you getting better at it, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
She didn't say it's not enough, but that's effectively the message that I got was yeah, you're doing those things, but so what?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I 100% agree. With my marriage, it was always that. It's well, maybe I'll want to spend time with you if you cook dinner before I get home.
Right.
So then I cook dinner. Well, maybe I don't want to spend time with you if you cook dinner, put the kids to bed, or bathe the kids. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then it was like dinner, bathe, put the kids to bed. Dinner, kids, bed, leave me alone for an hour. It's like, what else can I do, man? And so it got to the point that I'm just like, okay, I'm just a roommate.
Choose a man.
Yeah, choose a man. Yeah.
That was good.
No.
Mhm.
And
He's like, wait, what?
New information.
well, and the sad thing is when we went to marriage counseling, it was nice to have the counselor go, okay, well, how come he did all that stuff? Why was it never enough for you?
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's like, oh, we just drifted apart. And it's like, well, yeah, because you never spent time with me kind of thing. And got to the point that, like you said, it becomes expectation. So then if I didn't do it one time, I was an asshole.
Yeah.
Or I failed her or, stuff like that. And so I think it's really important that as you do those small gestures, and John talked about it in the the marriage third times the charm episode of doing the small things like leaving notes and unexpected stuff that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't cost money, but it's just showing that quick little appreciation that it reminds that
Right.
person that, hey, I haven't said this in 2.5 months, thank you, but man, thank you so much for doing that for me. But also,
Yeah.
if they don't do it that one time, you don't fucking make them feel bad about it. You get up and, oh, okay, cool, they didn't do it. It's fine, whatever, and you just go about your day kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Because you don't, like you said, once it becomes an expectation, your marriage starts to basically dwindle.
Right. And it becomes an expectation when we stop showing gratitude.
Yeah.
When we stop expressing the gratitude. It doesn't, I mean, like the little notes and you guys have talked about how, Sydney makes coffee in the morning and you appreciate it and stuff like that. If we stop expressing that, we don't have to do it daily because then that becomes the norm and it becomes the expectation. But that periodic, hey, I really appreciate that you're doing this for me. It means a lot when you do. And I just want to tell you that I love you for it. That's it's so appreciated.
Yeah, baby, I love you for it.
But it's like it doesn't have to be frequent, but it does have to be done regularly. Where every month or two, where it's just that check-in, right?
Yeah, it's like filling that glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now back up. How about you in your past?
Well,
Or even me now. I mean,
yeah. Let's critique Dawson.
I think that my past relationships, they've been mainly focused on starting the dating process. And then when we got 3 months in or so, it just kind of drifted. Like I noticed that they didn't really try. They didn't really want to do anything. I had an ex that would do a whole weekend of Dungeons and Dragons, and then I'd just be sitting there watching a Netflix show or something in the clubhouse when they were playing the games, because that's not my thing. And I think with another ex that they just expected me to come over and sit on the couch and watch TV. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can do that in my own apartment. I don't need to sit
Right.
here and listen to you yelling at your computer screen, killing whatever you're killing.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's the big thing that's killing the younger generation right now is gaming is so big and it's fun and you can
Mhm.
get paid now to do it. And so there are times like when I played EverQuest and EverQuest 2, I got to the point where I was actually making money, like $3,000 a month as a guide.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that my ex complained about in the marriage counseling is like, he's playing games all the time. I'm like, I was making an income. I was actually making money.
Yeah.
And I had to log on 40 hours a week to do that. So I'd do my normal job and then I'd come home and I'd try to spend time with her. And I was like, hey, do you want to watch something together? You want to go get dinner? And it's like, no, I need to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
So then, of course, I get in the mode of, okay, fine, I asked you. You told me no. So I go down there, work on the game, and then she'd eventually come down, and I'd be all butthurt and be like, no, fuck you. I already asked you. Now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I admit that's where I failed big time originally in our relationship. And I've said that before. It's like, I wish I just logged out and got upstairs. So after that divorce, I made that promise that if whoever I was dating came to me and wanted to spend time with me, I'd fucking shut everything off and focus just on that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that when we go out to dinner. Phones are away. We're
We're
rarely
rarely
at
on
it.
our phones.
Yeah,
Well,
rarely.
and that's where, like, in my second marriage, where, like, if you know, the Chiefs were playing or something like that, or BYU was playing, and I was watching a football game, and she started talking to me about something, I'd pause the game. Sometimes I'd shut it off, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm interrupting you." No. Our relationship's more important than a game. It's just a game, right?
Yeah.
You can
I
always
enjoy the
rewatch
game.
it.
What's that?
You can always rewatch it.
I can always rewatch it, you know? And so that was one of the things that I tried to do as well, because in my first marriage, there was like, here was especially, you know, towards the end, but as I was getting out of the military, the last couple of years, my first wife had a bunch of health issues where she was basically kind of bedridden. And so I would I would get up at like 4:45 in the morning. Anybody that has been in the military knows.
Yeah.
PT's at like 6 in the morning, but you don't show up at 6 o'clock. You show up, you know, if you start at 6, that means you're there at 5:30 for formation. But to be there at 5:30 for formation means you get there at 5. And if you're going to be there at 5, then you have, you know, so it's like this 15 minutes before the 15 minutes before the 15 minutes. So I got up, I lived close. So it was like, this was when I was stationed in Georgia, but I would get up at 4:45, get to, you know, where we did our physical training in the morning. But that's when I woke up, was 4:45. And then after PT, I'd go home, shower, all that kind of stuff, and I'd be gone. Well, once the day was over, 4:35 o'clock, get home. Oftentimes, you know, she had been on the couch because there were a lot of, you know, significant medical issues that, personally, I think she kind of milked it, but that's a hindsight, right? But I would literally, like, if she was up in our room, if she was up in our bedroom, I would literally carry her downstairs where the kids were watching TV or playing games or doing homework, stuff like that, and then I'd go make dinner.
Yeah.
And I'd make, because of some of the health issues, there were certain foods that would trigger a reaction, and so I would sometimes make her something totally separate from the kids and I, and then, you know, have dinner, make sure that, you know, the house is picked up reasonably, and the kids' homework and all that kind of stuff, and then the bedtime routine, and it, you know, kids finally quiet down and go to bed and are, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then she and I, that'd be our time, but then she would want to talk.
Yeah.
Because she was around kids all day. And so she would talk, and it'd be 12 o'clock, 12:30 in the morning, and I've got to get up at 4:45 again, and I'm falling asleep on her, and she's mad at me.
Yeah.
And I would apologize for that. And it's like, I kept on trying to do those things that they tell you to do, to, you know, sacrifice for the family, all that kind of stuff. But that routine of giving and giving and giving, I was the bad guy ultimately, because I wasn't giving enough, is what it felt like, you know. And so, I mean, even things like, you know how they say, you know, you always tell her that she's beautiful even when she's not done up or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
To the extreme of, like, one of the things that she would react with is, sometimes she would have, I don't think she listens to the podcast, so whatever, but like, she would have, like,
Too much.
she would have reactions where she would literally have explosive diarrhea, where she was almost passing out on the toilet, and I'd be in there holding her, you know, kind of rubbing her back, telling her I love her, all this other stuff, while she's blowing up the toilet, literally. And that wasn't appreciated. In fact, in the divorce, that got twisted around into, I was this horribly abusive guy. And it's like, so that kind of the phenomenon of, like, where people want to just give up, there are a lot of reasons why that happens. And I've lived through a lot of those reasons, you know. Gaming, somebody just sitting there gaming all day long when you're supposed to be spending time together.
Well, that, and it's also, you know, everyone just scrolls their phone. Like, TikTok is a big thing right now, and
Doom scrolling.
I mean, yes, I'm guilty of TikTok scrolling too, but if I am with Dawson or my friends, I put my phone away, because there's nothing important on my phone that I'm not paying attention to the people that I'm sitting in front of.
Yeah. And you show the priority based on what you do, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody's sitting there when you're on a date and all they're doing is scrolling through their phone and they're kind of half in a conversation, then the phone is the priority. The social media is the priority. You know, when I take my kids out to dinner and they're like taking their phone, they're like, you know, whatever. It's, yeah, I get it, but it's like, come on, really?
Man, if I was with you, James, I'd be taking pictures too.
No, they're taking pictures of themselves and their food.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
All that stuff. What did you? How did you communicate to those exes that you needed more, or you
Or
just,
did you?
or did you? Yeah.
I think with some of them, I just kind of shut down. I was bad about that because, you know, I didn't want to feel like I was telling them what to do. I just didn't want to be that person. But then as I kept finding that as a pattern, I said, we either need to figure out something where you're going to put in the effort that I'm putting into this relationship, or we're just going to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, that leads into our next segment, the opt out phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I know. James, go ahead and kind of describe. I mean, you know, obviously the opt out phenomenon is basically you're putting all the effort in. Eventually, you just give up and you just stop trying, and then what happens is either you drift apart or the other person notices. You get that push pull kind of thing, which is good. But ideally, you shouldn't have to wait for that person to opt out to actually try. And so the goal here is to help educate people to not get to the point where the person opt outs, but maybe one, communicate, hey, I need this, or hey, when you did this, because you want to reinforce those good habits, you know, with positive reinforcement, and to help them understand that. And then there's young nurses at work that will be bitching about their boyfriends or husbands. And I go, okay, well, how often do you tell him thank you?
Yeah.
I go, do you positive reinforce that behavior to make him want to do it? Because I'll tell you right now, men want their women to be happy.
Absolutely.
And they will. If you tell them, like, oh my gosh, that meant so much to me, they're going to do it again.
Yeah, and when I work with clients, that's one of the things that I talk to women about when they're talking about their relationships, whether I'm working with a couple or an individual. Even if I'm working with an individual, they're in a relationship, they're married, they're whatever. So I'm still working with the couple too, you know, one side. But when it comes to the cat's walking by.
I like knocked the camera. I was like wobbling. I was like, oh, good thing it wasn't on us.
But when it comes to, like, you know, showing that appreciation, you reinforce behavior one way or another, right? You guys remember The Office when Jim and Dwight, you know, Dwight's computer would ding and Jim would offer him a breath mint.
Yeah.
And it just kept on going. Finally, the computer dings and Dwight's like this. And Jim's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You know,
yeah.
operant conditioning, right?
Yeah.
It's operant conditioning. And so we do that without realizing that we're doing that based on how we respond to somebody's behavior. So if like, for instance, if I express that I appreciate something that somebody does and I show my gratitude, that is, I'm reinforcing the positive behavior. Same thing with kids. You know, with parenting kids, it's like, hey, you know, I really appreciate that you did really well, you know, trying to clean up your room. And yeah, there's some things that you could do better, but you did a great job, you know, and then you reward them, right? That's going to encourage them to want to try again.
Yeah.
But if you're like, what's wrong with this? And you've missed this and you've missed that, it's going to make them feel bad. And yeah, they might try harder, but they do it out of fear rather than because they're excited to try and do it more. Same thing in relationships. When we are doing something for our partner that they've asked us to do, or that we recognize that they want us to do, and it doesn't get reinforced, the lack of response, and that was one of the things in my second marriage that happened a lot, especially towards the end, was like I would come home and she'd be sitting in bed on her phone or on her tablet or something like that, not really doing anything. But we had conversations about, you know, working on debt, paying off debt, and, you know, doing this and working towards goals. And then the behavior itself doesn't actually reinforce that we're working towards goals together. I felt alone. And so eventually it was like, and this is one of the things that happens when you feel like you're the sole person in the relationship. You start getting depressed. You start feeling rejected, and you start self-preservation is really what it kind of comes down to, is self-preservation. You're preserving your own emotional well-being by separating yourself from that person, and that's the shutdown. And it's hard to overcome that once it starts, but the only way to overcome that once we recognize that pattern is through communication, is through talking about it. And I tried to in my second marriage. In the first marriage, I didn't say a whole lot because it was happy wife, happy life. So it's like, I'll just sacrifice more. Second marriage, I communicated often.
Yeah, it really boils down to, like, do you feel safe to communicate?
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever felt like you were able to truly communicate to anyone before?
Not as much as I am now.
Good
I
job,
think
Dawson.
it was, just figuring it out and trying to not make a big deal about it. But then I realized it's a big deal. It's more of a big deal than I thought it was. And I changed it.
Yeah, I think the one thing I learned is, with my marriage, I mean, I was cook, clean, take care of the kids, working full time, maintaining the house, lawn, and like you, I mean, I was cooking 3 meals, one for the kids, one for me, one for her, all through the night, and got to the point where I'm like, fuck this, I'm just doing the kids and I'll eat whatever's left over kind of thing. And then got to the point where I would go on like cleaning strikes to prove a point.
Yeah.
Because I just literally stopped cleaning for a week to show how bad the house would get because I was the only one doing it.
Yeah.
And then she'd come up with this chore chart. And we go, use the chore chart because I've noticed the house is getting really sloppy and I'm not going to live like this. We need a chore chart.
Yeah, instead of appreciating that you had been maintaining it before. Yep.
And so it always backfired. And so she'd do the chore chart. And so I would do my chores and then she would never do hers.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, okay, well, how this is going to be, I'm just going to clean after me and the kids and I'm never going to touch her stuff ever again. And
and that's that resentment.
You
that
could
builds,
tell.
Right?
I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it did. Like, got to the point where I didn't want to do anything nice for her. I mean, I had one year that I put all these stick-em notes in her car on Valentine's Day to like just one word appreciations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was an awesome thank you. It was, why did you fucking do that? Now I'm late for work. You know how annoying that was to have to pull these off and how embarrassing. And I'm like, cool. All right. I'm done.
That's going to reinforce you being romantic in the future, right?
Yeah. It's like, I'm done.
Well,
and the other thing I would try to tell people is, let's say your husband vacuums like once every month, or you say, hey, babe, can you vacuum for me? And maybe he's reluctant and kind of annoyed, and he vacuums. And if you're the kind of person that goes, you didn't get the floorboards, you didn't do that, like it still looks dirty, did you even vacuum?
Yeah.
Guess what's going to happen? He's like, well, I don't do it right, then you fucking do it kind of thing. And there's a lot of men that will purposely do stuff wrong just so
have to do it.
Yeah, because they know they're going to lose
Everybody
their shit.
Loves Raymond episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it really is communication. So let's say you're the woman and you vacuum and do the floorboards. Well, okay. He vacuums. He doesn't do the floorboards. And you notice he doesn't do the floorboards. A really great response is like, man, you did a really good job, baby. It's like, hey, could you do the floorboards for me next time too? Just that way we can stay on top of it. And you know what he's going to do? And I know what I'm going to do. I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. I didn't even think of that.
Well, it's either that or it's, teamwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like with the vacuuming and the floorboards thing, it's like, okay, he vacuumed. Great. Appreciate the vacuuming. And then do the floorboards. And when he's like, oh, you're still working on it. It's like, oh yeah, I do the floorboards too.
Yeah.
That's going to register. And he's going to say, okay, next time I want to help out, I got to remember to do that too.
Yeah. One of two ways. Either he gets butt hurt going, oh, I didn't do it good enough.
Right.
And that's kind of where we as couples sometimes have to reinforce the positive side and say, oh, no, it's fine. I just normally do them too. I didn't expect you to do them. And then he'd be like, oh, okay. But I know me. I'm going to do the floorboards next time kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, but that leads into another part of this where it's, what is our expectation, right? Because like the vacuuming, if I expect everything to be done my way, the way that I do it, and then they're not doing it that way, my default, most of our default is, oh, they didn't do it enough, or they didn't do it right, or they didn't whatever right. And we point out the negative because, well, I'm the one who does all this, and you should know that this is all that I do. And if you're going to help out, then you help out the way that I want to. It's like loading the dishwasher, right? Yeah. There's so many stories I hear about where, like the spouse was doing the dishes and he loaded the dishwasher, and the wife's just like, you did it wrong. And they pull everything out, they put everything back in. This is how you do it. And the guy's just like, okay, then you do it. Right.
I mean, to be fair, when we moved in together,
Did you do that?
I didn't do that.
She actually did. And what did I say? I go, there's two perspectives and two ways to do everything.
Yeah.
And then
I go, your way's not wrong and mine way's not wrong either. Now I go, if we wash it and there's still junk on it, then I will personally be like, okay, cool, show me how you do
Yeah.
it. Because obviously I'm not doing it right. But I'm on this kind of things. It's like, dude, there's two ways to do everything. It doesn't matter. Your way's not wrong. Mine's not wrong. Yours is right. Mine's is right.
And Sydney right now is going, no, but my way's right.
well, it's not that it's right.
And
it's
she's
just,
right.
I don't put certain things in the dishwasher, and I expressed to him that I was like, don't put pots, pans, or knives in the dishwasher because it ruins them.
Yeah, and she educated, and I'm like, oh, okay. Which
Yeah.
I knew at the diamond, because we got the diamond pots and pans. I knew that, but like the other knives, I'm just Target cheap piece of shit. But then we have her knives, and she's like, hey, make sure you don't put those in there. They don't go in there. And so it was educating. She didn't scold me. She didn't say I did it wrong. She's like, oh, hey, you can't put these in here. I mean, she did it with a little attitude, but but I teased her back and made it a fun thing. I didn't get
fun to you or fun to her?
Well, I think it was both. Like, I was able to show to her that she could communicate with me and I'm not going to get offended.
Yeah.
That she could just point out something I wasn't doing that was worldly wrong, because you're not supposed to do this. It's not her preference. It's, hey, to take care of your pans longer, breaks down the coating, whatever.
See, and I'm just like, if the pens stop working right, I'll just throw them away and buy new ones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But if you spend a lot of money on a nice set of pots, you don't want to ruin them faster.
What do you consider a lot of money? To me, that like $3-4 grand is a lot of money for pots.
Well, I don't know.
But then they should be able to handle everything I throw at them.
$39.99. That's a lot of money for me. But
I get my pot at the dispensary. Does that last long?
it lasts as long as you smoke it.
But
it really does go back to what you said, communication.
Yeah.
I mean, communicating to your partner efficiently in a way that's positive and sometimes playful too, because it shows a tone of, I'm not mad, I just want to let you know.
Whenever anybody says I'm not mad,
they're
they're
usually
mad.
I go, you're mortally annoyed, and I think I've joked with that. It's like,
Yeah.
So are you mad or are you just annoyed with me right now? And she's like, oh.
usually I'm annoyed about something, but
and
not
annoyed
too
that you asked
often.
that question.
But it goes back to what you said with the unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I guess, and there's a way, like, I'm not going to tell her to go out there and hang sheetrock because she's never done it before. Now, will she help me? Hell yeah. I'm glad to have the help. I'm not going to criticize her for helping me, kind of thing. But if I tell her, hey, go do this, and then she does it, and I come in, I'm like, oh my God, you did it all wrong, and rip it down. That's on me because I had an expectation and I didn't express those expectations. Now, obviously, I'm not going to boss her around and tell her to go do stuff. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
We know who wears the pants.
Or I should say if I asked. But like, you know how many TikTok videos of women that bitch about their husband going to the grocery store and the husband's calling him and spamming him? Like, I got this. Is this right? This right? And they're like, he's too stupid to even go to the grocery store. Or you've created an environment that he questions every fucking thing he does.
That's what that is. Absolutely.
And people need to understand that if your spouse is like always questioning and asking, then you have created an environment that they don't feel safe to communicate with you. And that's kind of
consequently.
I mean, to be fair, my dad would go to the grocery store with pictures. Because he never does the grocery shopping.
But that's the thing is, if it's something that they don't normally do, then it's not something that they're used to. And one of the things that I have seen, it's been used against me, and I've seen it used against others in like divorces and stuff, where the wife's attorney is just like, well, who are the kids' doctors? What are their teachers' names? What are their this and that? Like all these details, where it's like the guy doesn't know. But it's because they have different roles. Like in my first marriage, she was a stay-at-home mom the entire time. She took care of those things. Yeah. She scheduled the kids' appointments and the doctor's appointments, and I went to some of them when I was able to. But I was working. I was trying to provide, right? So when that question came up in court of like, well, who are the kids' doctors? Who are their teachers? What this and that? And I was like, I don't know. But that doesn't mean that I can't do it or I'm incapable. It's just because of the roles that we had, I didn't.
Yeah.
now, I mean, like, because, after I got custody, I'm the one that set up all the appointments, and I'm the one that talked to the doctors. I'm the one that talked to the teachers and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I can absolutely do it. So like the grocery shopping is not a lack of capability. It's just unfamiliar.
Yeah.
If I told you, like, hey, I need you to change the valve cover gasket on the BMW and make sure that you torque down the valve cover bolts to 15 Newton meters, and you got to use the right sequence.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to do that.
I read that it's actually 12, James. You sure about that?
Yeah, get your facts right.
But that's the thing is, like, that's something that I can do because I work on my own cars. So I look up that information. I find it out. So I know what to do. It's what I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was working, 40, 50, 60 hours, especially in the Army and stuff like that, that wasn't my familiarity. And so that expectation that we have of people where it's like we're now criticizing their lack of knowledge as if they're just incapable.
Yeah.
Rather
100%.
than recognizing that it wasn't the role that they were playing and they're trying to help, One of the things that I run into now is like, because, I've been on dating sites and stuff like that. Having lost all this weight that I've lost, when I first was on the dating sites, my pictures were of me being bigger. Guess how many responses I got?
0.
Pretty close.
Because people judge a book by its
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
And now that I've lost a bunch of weight, not that I'm getting like bombarded or anything like that, but I actually get people that like me. That
He's
are like,
got-
oh yeah,
He's got 2.
I got 2 instead of 1. Yeah, that's 100% increase. Shush. But how many videos are out there of women who are like, late 30s, early 40s, and they're like, he needs to be 6'5" and have a 6-pack and make 6 figures and all this other stuff and treat me like a queen. Expectations,
Yeah.
But those aren't real expectations either.
Right? Because if a guy is in his 40s and he's got a 6-pack and he's making $150,000, $200,000 a year or more, and he's tall and he's got his own house and he's got all this his life.
He's 20
He's gay.
Well, he's either gay or or it's like,
or he's dating Dawson.
Hey, now.
Oh,
So why are we going back to that?
you said gay?
but it's, why would he be interested in you? Because the guys that
Yeah.
have their shit together,
What do you bring to the table?
well, it's not the transactional side of it, because that's another consideration too, is that people think of this of romance as a transactional process. Well, if you do this, then I'll do that.
Yeah, fail.
It's a failure.
Yeah.
Absolutely a
Mhm.
failure. Because
100%.
as soon as you devolve it into transaction, the romance is gone.
Yeah, the desire, romance is gone, all that stuff.
But like, if a guy is like, I meet those requirements. My 6-pack is a little bit insulated still, but
I got a pony cake.
but it's like, I don't want somebody just, that has all this baggage and all these problems and all these attitudes and all this other stuff. Because if I'm going to build a life with somebody, I want it to be building a life together.
Well, and I think that's
Not-
why
Mm-hmm.
a lot of younger women are going for older men that have been married in the past.
Mhm.
Kids are grown and gone, kind of thing. Just because we've learned this shit and
Yeah.
we're actually applying it now, and we've learned that the phone doesn't matter, TikTok doesn't matter,
Yeah.
time with your partner is what matters, and to grow. And
Not chasing the Joneses anymore.
yeah, it's like, don't give a shit. I don't need to compete with anybody. It's only about us. That's why. I mean, sorry guys, I don't give a shit what you guys think about our relationship, because it's about us and
Mhm.
our relationship, what we think of each other.
And that's what matters.
And I don't care what other people think.
Well, and that's one of the things too, where
It
it's
took
like,
me a long time to get there.
yeah, if people are like, well, I don't know if you should be seeing that person. Do they know them? Do they know you? Why are they saying, what's the motivation behind it? All that kind of stuff. Like, maybe if there's a friend who is critical of a relationship, maybe it's because they're envious that they're not in one.
Yeah.
Are you talking
That's
about
true.
yourself?
Yeah.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've told them many times I'm jealous of their relationship.
I
Envious.
know.
Not jealous.
Season.
Yeah.
What did I say?
They're all being cutesy and stuff. I'm like, shut the fuck
Son
up.
of a bitch. Like, son of a bitch.
I mean, I have my parents to look up to. They were together for 58 years. They were married for 56.
Yeah.
They did everything together.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, as my dad got sicker, he didn't talk as much, and he just was tired all the time, so he was sleeping. But
Mhm.
my mom was still there to help him, to make sure he got fed, to make sure he got his meds on time, and she was there 100%
Yeah.
of the time. She did not care that what other people thought, and she just focused on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the short time that I got to know him, I mean, you could just feel the love between the two of them, and it was just go to Casetas every day, have coffee, and a little pastry. It was awesome. Like, it's just, I mean, I can see why you're such a wonderful woman, you know, because your parents just raised you so well.
You
Well,
guys
and
are
I live by my
gross.
mom.
I was getting teary-eyed. That's awesome.
No, but my parents too. I mean, they have been through everything together. They raised 10 kids together, and they're still very much in love. I mean, but it wasn't like everything was wonderful and rainbows and butterflies and all that kind of stuff all the time. They worked at it, but they were focused on each other, and they were focused on building their life together because of their loyalty, because of their faith, because of all kinds of things. And I've jokingly halfway told my parents that my dad ruined us boys for women because he married such an incredible woman.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean it, but like you don't find that very much anymore.
Mm-mm. Well, and I live by my mom's saying. She always says money's replaceable, but time's not. So
I like that.
I make a point to make memories and make those
Mm-hmm.
important versus
Yeah.
worrying about money. I mean, yes, money is a problem, but it's the time that you spend with your family and friends that actually matter.
Yeah, and she's been really good at like pushing that, you know, in a positive way, you know, kind of stuff. So I've spent more time with my mom, and you know, took her to Quinn's game and stuff like that. And I see the value of it, and you know, you just like you get so burned by other people, you kind of withdraw and retreat, and you forget sometimes those things because you're just so depressed in those relationships, and that's what's hard. And you know, it's just, you know, sucks sometimes. So when we talk about love languages going into our next segment, first of all, I want to say, hey, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button.
Yes.
Ding that little bell. Ding, 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 ding for notifications on new episodes every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And if you like dad jokes, we do those every
do dad
day.
jokes. Well, I'm not great about it every day, but mostly.
Hey, I remind you.
So when we break
appreciate.
down love languages, I think people do it wrong.
Yeah,
I
very
think,
much so.
I think it's they want to know what their love language is, and then they project their love language onto their person.
Yeah.
And I see the couples that really struggle with love languages when their love languages are completely different. So if one's a
It doesn't have to be a struggle.
gift giver and the guy hates getting gifts, then often they won't give gifts, you know, kind of thing. And they also think sometimes people want extravagant gifts, and you know, we've seen stories where people got a whole second job just to help buy crap, and so it's one of those things that with the love languages, it's great as a couple to break those down and figure out what those love languages are, but it's also important just to express it. And it's like, I just need time with you. Hey, I appreciate that you bought this for me, but I would have rather gone to a winery and just sat and talked with you for the same price.
And that's where, like, early on in a relationship, I think those should be conversations. You know, like if you don't know what your love languages are, there are quizzes online where you can find out. You know, is it quality time? Is it physical touch? Is it words of affirmation? Is it gift giving? Is it what? There's like a fifth one. I can't remember. I always forget what the fifth one is. Apparently, you guys do.
Yeah, well, I thought you said them all.
I thought that was all.
I think there's only 4, isn't there?
We don't talk about that anymore.
Oh, right. Pegging. Jason's love language is pegging.
So,
Maybe.
but the idea is that, like, if you talk about your love languages, then you get to find out I need to hold this better. How does this woman, in my case, if it's like a woman, how does she hear and feel and receive love, right? Because if I'm going to be an attentive partner, if I'm going to show love and appreciation, I need to show it in her love languages, not mine.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest flaws is if my love language is physical touch, but hers is words
Alone
of
time.
affirmation, solitude. No, but if hers are words of affirmation, but all I'm doing is snuggling, holding hands, all that kind of stuff, but I'm never reinforcing verbally the relationship, then she's not receiving the love the way that I'm trying to show it.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we're disconnected because she's not responding the way that I think she should be responding because, well, can't you see I'm showing all this love and all this other stuff? And I am, but not in the way that she receives it. So if hers is words of affirmation, and I know that, and it's not typically is not a strong one of mine, then for me to show her love, I need to express that in her love language. And then when she knows mine, like if hers are words of affirmation, quality time, that kind of thing, but mine's physical touch, which is common for men, then her, like, and I give this example of like, give this example of clients. If I'm doing dishes and she walks up behind me and just kind of like scratches my back briefly as she walks by, it means the world.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Physical touch does not mean sex.
Yeah.
I mean, that too, but
Well, and I think that's
not just that.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that is really, really, really important. I want people to listen to this part, like really listen, because there was a study that took, I think it was like 600 couples, and they had to document when their partner did those small things, like coming up from behind, just giving a quick hug, or a kiss in the back of the head, or whatever. As you walk by, your hands just touch really quick, kind of stuff. Opening the door for her. Those small things are, like you said, those are intimate moments with that person that you don't technically share with anyone else. And people think just sex too, but those small things are the things that keep your relationship alive. But they said the number one thing that truly, or number two things that truly kept the relationship strong in these surveys was saying I love you when they left, and they like a kiss goodbye or a hug. And then when they got home, you greet that person, stop what you're doing, you get up and say, hey, how are you doing? Give them a kiss, whatever, because you're acknowledging the presence of that loved one again. Yeah. And psychologically, it just kind of like renews. And even if you had the worst day ever, still coming in, slamming stuff down, starting to criticize the person, you set the tone for the whole night. But if you come in, it's like, hey babe, and give you a kiss, and then you start talking about your day, you're like acknowledging them, and you're setting that tone of, I want to be with you, I want to be near you, I want to release that horrible day from my life and just focus on you again. And the study showed that like the couples that did that are the ones that have been married for 50, 60 years, and the other side of that was sex every 3 days. Usually if you have sex once every 3 to 4 days, it just renews that intimate bond, the dopamine release, serotonin. I mean, they said obviously daily would be awesome, right? But the study showed that 3 to 4 days is a must, kind of thing, to keep that bond and intimacy. And doing those two things, they said, like, you'll never step out of your marriage. Like, you'll be so happy, and you won't think about it, and unless you're a narcissist that just does it anyway.
There's a video, because I'm single, so I do scroll TikTok sometimes.
Thank God it's
too often. No, but there's a woman that was being interviewed about her divorce, and I think I've shared the story in a previous podcast where she was asked, how did you know it was over? How did you know that the marriage was ending? And she goes, oh yeah, he stopped buying my favorite granola from Trader Joe's or whatever it was. She's like, he would always make sure that I always had the granola, that like it was up in the cupboard and all this other stuff, and anytime it would get low, I didn't even have to think about it. He would go and buy it and make sure that it was there. And then one day it wasn't. And that was for her the first sign that he had finally, like, he checked out. And then, so in that interview, the guy asked her, was there something for him that you used to do for him? And she goes, yeah, blowjobs. And the interviewer was like, what? She goes, yeah, I used to give him blowjobs every day before he'd go to work. And one day I just didn't. And then it became infrequent, and then it stopped entirely. It's those little things that I'm not saying that that's how you save a marriage. However,
I mean, there was a study that showed that sex before work actually makes the man more productive.
Right? There's all kinds of studies out there. But the idea is that, there are some special things that we do for each other that if it's, going back to earlier, in this discussion where it's like, if we're not expressing that appreciation, if we're not reinforcing that, it's going to go away.
Yeah.
And that becomes like a gauge, right? When we talk about balance in life, we're not talking about everything has to be on an equilibrium. That is not balance.
Yeah.
That's stagnation, really. But it becomes, when something becomes out of balance, it becomes an indicator that we need to refocus on whatever that area is. And so when it comes to the love languages, as we're showing love languages, receiving love languages, and we're reinforcing that, through that expression of gratitude, through, whether it's a physical expression, verbal expression, whatever it is, in their love language, right?
Yeah.
When that dwindles, when that becomes less, and we recognize it, that's when we're out of balance. That's when we need to reinforce and rebuild and communicate more so that we don't have those things fail.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that people understand that when you start drifting apart, it takes more effort.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything that you're starting with a habit, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Yeah.
And you get back to where you were. And I think what is important that people understand is love language do change as we get older too, because your priorities kind of change a little bit too. I mean, I think we still have our base foundation, that we have, but I think as time, if one of your spouse is super sick and you're getting through a hard time, that love language might change a little bit, kind of stuff. New career, there's that adjustment. Anytime you have life altering changes in your relationship, there's an adjustment period. And
which, if you're living life, there's going to be life altering changes.
And so it's important to remember that as you get through those adjustment periods, healthy and communicate and you show love through it, that's just going to make your bond even stronger, kind of stuff, kind of going forward. So I want to go kind of your perspective.
Yeah, since we have Sydney, let's take
last
advantage
segment.
of her in the conversation.
When you started dating, you mentioned, around the 3-month mark, which, study was shown around the 6 months, you start seeing 3, you start seeing the true person. 6, you start really knowing if they're long-term probability. So you found like at the 3-month mark, you kept finding these younger guys that would just stop courting after the 3 months. They got you. You're doing great. We're dating. They implement their daily life, playing video games or whatnot. And they're just like, hey, you just sitting on the couch next to me is good enough because we're spending quality time together because you're in the same room. So what was your frustrations with that? And
I think the frustration was just that I had to deal with that situation. I'm not the type of person who has to go out every single day. I have friends that want to do that, and I just, either making dinner together or going to dinner instead of door dashing everything. It just, that quality time makes it better instead of just ordering. And
keyword being quality, right?
Yeah,
quality. Yeah,
I mean, it just changes the whole perspective of
when he would like sit there playing the video games, or the other guy that was like playing D&D with his friends, and you were just kind of there. Like, how did you feel with when he was doing those things? Did you feel like you were a priority at all? Did you feel like you were even a consideration during those times?
It definitely made it harder to feel like a priority because it just didn't. I mean, they would play Dungeons and Dragons for 8 hours plus, and it would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
because he was in 3 or something different groups, and I'm fine with it, but then maybe don't ask me to come,
right.
and just watch a Netflix show on my phone, because that's not utilizing my time, and it's not quality time together. I respect, Dawson. He has his Monday nights for Dungeons and Dragons, but that's a set time. And then if it changes, he lets me know, and we communicate with each other about, Monday's his night, but then the rest of the week we come home from work and we actually spend time together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy that I knew in Washington when I was stationed out there, that he was a gamer, but what he would do is he'd go to work and he'd come home from work 5-6 o'clock, and then he would game until 2 a.m, and then go to sleep, wake up at 6, get back to work. But he did that all week long, every single week, he'd come upstairs to grab dinner, and then he'd go back to gaming, and his wife ended up divorcing him.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Wonder
wasn't,
why.
yeah, right. But it was because when we talked, he wasn't a gamer anymore. He had stopped gaming almost, I think, entirely, because he realized with the divorce that he neglected his family and his wife, and she just couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I think about, you know, sometimes with my kids when they've had, you know, boyfriends and stuff when they were teenagers, they walk around with their cell phone and they just like put it down when they're making food, and it's like they're FaceTiming with their boyfriend who's also just walking around doing whatever, and
I'm
it's like
what the hell?
you're not even talking. You know, you're not even looking at each other. It's like the ceiling on both of their phones, and it's like, why do you do that? Well, it's just fun to just be together. You're not together though.
No,
you know,
you're not.
that part just totally escaped me.
That's a big thing.
Well, and that's the sad thing is it's becoming the norm, and it's becoming like, oh, cool. I mean, I had one that wanted to do that.
Might as well have an AI virtual partner. I mean,
yeah, probably get more out of it.
right.
Well, and then the sad thing is I had a partner that
Robots?
I had one that did that too.
That was the oddest thing. Robots?
Robots. Yeah, and that was frustrating for me too because
That's
I had somebody that wanted to do that, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I want to do my own thing. If I'm at home and you're at your home, if we're gonna spend time together, I want to be with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at my house because I tell you specifically, hey, I gotta get this stuff done. Now down the road is because of other issues, but it was like a control thing kind of thing, and it was just
I
frustrating.
wonder if that's part of what it was for you with those guys, where it's like they just wanted you to be there, so they knew that you were there, rather than like a
Yeah, that could be a
respective time.
possibility. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, no, there's a lot of guys that think that's quality time. You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are
and he
idiots,
did
too.
try to get her to play, you know,
Sure,
D&D
sure.
to kind of go there. And the great thing with me is she was reluctant to tell me that at first,
Mhm.
you know, and she was very put off by D&D and just like had no interest in it. And I was like, well, no, communicate with me, like what happened, why, what, you know, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so I was able to create a safe environment for her to where she can communicate. This is what I don't like. Don't ask me to play. Kind of burn me on there. And so I just have no interest in doing that because that's not something she has an interest in. And so I'm not going to force her to do that kind of stuff. But the nice thing is she recognizes, hey, that's quality time with Dawson with his friends that he gets. It's only 2 hours, sometimes 3, and it's a set night.
Lightweight.
But I also, from my past relationships, I learned the value of quality time.
Yeah.
And to put things down and to make that person that you say you want to be with a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that also allows us to get that alone time, friend time, because we both know that we're going to focus on each other when it's our time together.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
put the phones down. We pick the same show that we want to watch. If I don't want to watch Gilmore Girls, she's not going to go, well, that's what I want to watch and put it on,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And there's shows that she's semi-tired,
Yeah, I've
and
had
I'm
that
like,
too.
okay, I'm going to watch Fallout. And she's like, I don't know Fallout. It's like, okay, but you're going to fall asleep anyway. She's like,
Probably.
she goes, I know. And so she lets me put it on, kind of thing.
But that's how you
It's communication.
Yeah, that's how you bridge that gap, is through the communication. And as you communicate that, you very quickly start to discover, is this the right person for me or not? Is this a good fit? And I think sometimes we are afraid of being alone, and so we try and force it.
yeah.
I mean, I did in the past. I mean,
Yeah.
I forced 2 relationships, and I regret doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Well, and I think
100%.
that's probably why I kind of waited for the 6-month mark to say really anything about us, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to get burned again, per
Mhm.
se.
Besides my age, you know.
Well, yeah, a bit.
All right, you act young,
I do.
like 12.
I don't know, man.
Well, look at that.
12 and a half now. 2.5 years.
Wait,
Cool.
you like 12-year-olds?
No.
Just in behavior. No, but I mean that's what it is though. Is like, you know, taking that time. There's the excitement of a new relationship. There's getting to know each other. There's, you know, learning each other's stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's finding out if it's actually the right kind of fit. You know, there's some people that I know that they think that there is like the one, right? You hear that a lot. The movie, she's not that into, or he's just not that into you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's the one. No,
No.
I think that's possible. I know enough to know that I don't know enough, but like, It's possible, but much more likely is it's the right kind of fit, the right kind of personality, and I don't, at this point, having been divorced twice and different relationships, stuff like that, I don't want to settle for anything.
Yeah.
No, and you shouldn't have to.
Right.
Well, and I
That's why I'm annoyed at
I
you
was
guys
like,
a little
I was
bit.
like, hey, we're going to
It's fine.
Bangkok. We're getting out of here. Screw this. We're done with America women, and I just was
What?
like in this weird.
Oh,
Well,
dude,
back
like,
in the day when we talked about
Oh,
that.
no, have you ever heard of the passport bro thing?
No.
The passport bro thing is like, because American women are like, this modern feminism, which men are all evil and bad and whatever,
Right.
there are Eastern Bloc countries in Europe and then like Asia and the Philippines and stuff like that, where they're still very, very traditional, very strong, intelligent, capable women, but they value family and they value marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's men that are starting to go out of the country to find partners.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's hope for you, Jason.
I got my passport last year, so we'll see what happens.
So yeah, it just really is one of those things where you're just, when she, we talked about this. It's like when she came around the corner, she took my breath away, and then I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm gonna get someone like her. And we started talking, and I made her laugh and everything like that. And then next thing I know, she has my number, and we're hitting it off. And every relationship I had to struggle and fight to make work.
Yeah.
And this is so natural and so. I mean, we used to talk about the puzzle piece, finding that last piece of puzzle, and then I changed it to where I think actually it's you each have a puzzle, and does that puzzle blend together to make one beautiful picture? And I think that's the problem. What I was doing is I was trying to find that one puzzle piece that fit my life instead of saying yes to myself and dating myself and finding myself again, like that one of our last episodes. And once I completed my puzzle on my own, I was able to blend my puzzle with hers, and
That's beautiful.
And we've made a beautiful puzzle of love. No, it's kidding.
The Lego.
The Lego love. No, hey everyone, we appreciate you guys joining us today. Romance is a very important in a relationship, love languages, talking to your partner, and just spending quality time. I think I can flat out tell you, women just want quality time and respect and to build memories. I think that's better than
The right
buying
women
shit.
do. If they have realistic expectations of what they're supposed to be able to find, instead of this, I'm a queen, I deserve a king, and a king is this lofty goal that's 0.5% of men out there. That's just not going to happen.
It's not reality.
No, it's not.
I
But
mean,
there's a lot of really great men who are like, I heard a thing yesterday. There's a guy who was talking about his ex, and he said, you let go of a guy because you were done with him. It's like, I ended, when it came to the relationship, I ended the relationship with somebody who no longer cared about me. You ended the relationship with somebody who would have given you everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that insight is lost when it comes to, in large part, our societal expectations, what the pressures are and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's sad that like people like Sydney are being attacked.
Yep.
They want the family, they want a genuine person, they want somebody that's caring, loving, supportive, provides, and they're being attacked for it. And they're making women feel like that they have to be treated like a queen, and basically they can just sit around and do nothing, but yet they want modern feminism where they don't need men.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so it's sad to see, and we know tons of females that want to find a guy, but guys have checked out because of that. And I think that's one of our episodes coming up is the dating world and how men have checked out and women expect too much, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And how I think dating apps have destroyed women in general. But I really appreciate you guys for joining us.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, follow us for more.
Kind of
We
went
got
on
lots more.
slight tangent again. It's like, no, we're trying to end.
It's all good.
I didn't say it this time.
Jason's not going, turn
Yeah.
it off. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us again. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that little bell for notifications.
Thank you, Sydney, for joining us. Always
Thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
me.
Yeah. Stay classy, Kansas City.